Johnny, how you doing, brother?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. I just got back, finally got caught up just here in the past hour or so.
Cool.
We had our annual branch manager conference out in Huntington Beach, California.
It was nice to see you in person.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
awesome. And it truly was one of the best experiences of my life. I have been, over the past 28 years, I have been to annual conferences, I could almost say annually. And it was probably one of the best ones I have ever seen in my life.
Awesome.
The people is what made it. The venue was great.
Yep. It's always nice when you can turn around and see the beach. It's always nice. The weather was lovely.
Now, one thing I do have to say.
Yep.
I figured this out, and this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
Zoom, Teams, StreamYard, every one of those are freaking liars.
Yeah.
When I got out there, and I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'10", 250.
That's true.
When I got out there, and especially meeting you, my partner, and I'm looking you probably, I don't know, mid-chest.
I don't look 6'4" on camera.
You do not look 6'4" on the camera. And it's not just you. It's not only, Tony Casillas, who's got to be, 7 feet freaking tall. And then half of our branch managers came from the Amazon because they're all sick. I mean, we could have played the Lakers this past weekend.
We would have held our own, especially if Russell was on the floor. But that's a conversation for another day.
It was crazy. But I will tell you, I'm still on a high. My heart is still pumping. It was one of the greatest events of my life.
Awesome. Well, I didn't properly introduce the podcast today because I've been holding something back. I got a little surprise for you. I just need you to say the magic words. Just do me a favor. Let me hear you say, roll the intro.
Roll the intro.
Welcome to Fly the Flag, a mortgage show that talks to mortgage people about mortgage things with your hosts, Johnny Fowler and Mike Ferrossi. I just figured we'd level it up a little bit.
That looked almost professional.
Hey, I am almost professional at a lot of things, so that's my specialty.
I like that. And you had your DJ voice on. It was almost.
Sometimes you just got to turn it on for the sake of everyone else.
Now coming to center stage.
I mean, you can't half-ass it all the time. You gotta do the extra work every once in a while.
Speaking of half-assing, I've been looking for a new mic like crazy. I've got a trip next week, and when I get back from that trip, I'm going to go get a new Shure mic.
Nice, I like it. So, topic for today: a lot of what we heard about at the conference was tech-related, and
beyond.
I commend AFN for building tech that's useful for mortgage professionals, not just laser focusing on borrowers. So, but that's not every mortgage company's thing necessarily. So today, I really want to talk about the future of mortgage tech, and not necessarily fintech and talking conceptually. I'm talking brass tacks, feet to the ground. How's this really going to affect us type of stuff? Because you hear about the fintech companies like the Zillows and the Open Doors and the Rocket Mortgages who are building all this stuff to put people out of business and absolutely crush the traditional mortgage industry and real estate industry and stuff like that. I'm not going to say there's not merit to some of it, but at the end of the day, I know where I stand. I work with IT at AFN on my own tech that I'm going to be using, and I love to try to find ways to automate processes and figure out how to make things so easy for the borrower that they're going to do nothing but need their mortgage loan officer less and less and less and less and less. So that way I can figure out how to teach our mortgage officers how to become more and more and more and more and more valuable and fill in the holes that this tech leaves behind. Because there's always going to be holes to fill. I know at AFN we're taking kind of a three-pronged approach. We have a tech suite that has different arms, one for the loan officer, one for the borrower to use and one for the realtor actually to use. And it all works in conjunction really well and creates a really nice little ecosystem that does nothing but help borrowers close their loans faster. But I want to get a little perspective from you on where you think the future of mortgage tech is going in the near term, because we can talk about 5-10 years from now as much as we want. But as we know, there's not currently a flip that's about to switch on crazy blockchain solutions with NFT smart contracts. Like, all that is super in the future. But what about now? What is tech doing for us now? What should loan officers be looking for from their companies? Things like that.
I think it's a number of things. So for 28 years since I got in this business in 1994, one of the things I've been hearing since day one almost is that tech was going to put me out of a job, which is a complete bullshit lie. And I think if mortgage companies would start paying attention to that lie sooner rather than later, it would probably help them a lot with their tech. Now, there's so many mortgage companies out there that think tech is jamming another piece of software into a system. You already have 43 pieces of software that nobody uses. So this 44th piece of software that nobody's going to use is actually going to make it work.
That's a great point.
And then they'll start doing a little bit of this. They'll hear somebody mention the word API. Whoo, API. That's got to be big. And then they'll try and talk to people about getting some of the systems to talk to each other. One of the things that kind of blew my mind, and I was so happy to hear, and this, I'm going to get off tech subject for about 13 seconds, but it's a lead in.
All right, the banner comes down for 13 seconds then.
No, this is, you can leave it up. This is when I'm sitting there in the audience and I'm listening to the CEO talk about 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
When I'm listening to the COO talk about 2 to 5 years down the road, and it has everything to do with technology and who our future loan officer is and how we're going to work with our customer in the future. And then I watch whatever it was. I don't remember what the number was, but it was like, I want to say it was 474, 488 or something like that, robots that they have already put in place to help the admin, to help the processor, to help the LOA, to help the loan officer. That's when I'm telling you now, this hair stood up on my arms because I haven't heard that. So my as long as we're talking about real tech, not just some flashy bullshit thing that nobody's ever going to use, but if we're talking about real technology to truly help people, and the way that I look at it is, whenever we had the horse and buggy, technology came around and we got cars. Well, we didn't throw all the horses and the buggies in the river and get rid of them. And then when we got cars that had air conditioning systems or windshield wipers or whatever it was, it is to help the human on both sides. Actually on all three sides, between the consumer, the person actually doing it, the person actually complying it, if that's a word.
It is now.
I'm a tech junkie. I love tech. And as long as we're talking about something that's real and it's not the fluff bullshit that you always hear people drop, what's in your tech stack? How stupid is that word, tech stack? I understand
the best tech stack doesn't stack.
It flows.
Why are you putting things on top of things on top of things? We're not building a bigger and better sandwich. This is not a lasagna. This is technology. And the more streamlined it can be, the easier it's going to talk to each other, the easier it's going to link together with each other, the easier and the more seamlessly things are going to flow. The systems aren't going to be bogged down. Servers aren't going to be taxed. The number of API calls that are happening from system to system to system to system, the more that you can minimize that. Why do you think Encompass is so slow?
Oh my God.
Because that's what's happening.
Why are there 47,000 POSs to feed into that slow ass LOS? It's really a processing system.
It is. It's a processing system and kind of almost a bit of a data storage facility at this point. So and that's what we've been working to build out. So we call our technological solution Snap, and there's Snap for loan officers, Snap for borrowers, and Snap for real estate agents. And there's real tangible benefits to each one. For real estate agent logs into their side of Snap, then they're going to see live time loan status for every single one of their clients that they're helping purchase a home, who's using AFN as their lender. And there's no reaching out to loan officers. There's no leaving messages. There's no text messages back and forth. If they just want to know where all of their clients stand as it pertains to their mortgage, right here, right now, 24/7, they can do that, as well as other things. There's prospecting tools in there that realtors can use and things like that. On the loan officer side.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
I want
go
to
ahead.
ask you about the real estate side.
Mm-hmm.
So how much are you involved with this? Are you helping the designing and the building, the testing and things like that?
On the realtor side, no. On the borrower side, yes.
So I don't know if you can do this for me, but I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, because first of all, when I heard that we had actually built a piece of software to give to the real estate agents to make their job easier, faster, better, more accurate, it was just nobody else is doing that. It was truly awe-inspiring. What everybody else is doing is they're buying Simple Nexus or something like that, and they're doing a free login, blah blah blah. And then when I understood what it was about, what we're building for the real estate referral partner, it was like, holy shit, this is really for them. This is really built for them. One of the things that I did not hear, and I'm not positive, and you may or may not know. If you don't know, help me find out. If you do know, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I want to see in that is a simple glossary. I want to see true tools to help the real estate agent. And here's what I mean. So we know that, and we throw these fits. Oh, they're not supposed to talk about rate. They're not supposed to talk about APR, things like that. Just like, realtors always say, he's not supposed to talk about how big the square footage is and things like that. Well, we got to work together. We can't battle each other.
While each of those individual people shouldn't talk about those things, we all need to understand that we're all industry professionals in the same industry, and we can be knowledgeable about those things too.
So when a consumer asks a real estate agent, what does APR mean? They're not asking for a quote. What they're asking for is, what does it mean? So the other thing, something simple. What are the questions I see all the time in two of these big Facebook groups that I'm in, almost 200,000 agents in each group. I see them ask all the time, what is the number of square feet in an acre? Little things like that. Let's help them with their job, but let's also give them some tools that, by a click of a search and hit it, they can say, here's what APR is. So it's your interest rate plus all of the fees that it takes to get to,
Yeah. So I don't think that exists currently. I don't know 100% sure. But
can you get it done by next week?
I mean, it was done 3 days ago, right? Okay. Just waiting to be implemented. I do know that there's a feature that we have called AFN Answers. It's kind of an automated question and answer thing. I know that that's not integrated fully throughout every arm of the system, but that is on the roadmap. And programming a glossary into something like that is a really, really good idea. So I'll go ahead and bring that up.
And you know what?
And honestly, see what's involved with that.
It will help loan officers and consumers also.
Absolutely.
On their sides also. Because, again, 43560, there's not that many people that know or remember things like that. But it just helps.
Yeah, I agree. On my YouTube channel, I was creating a series of shorts that were a mortgage glossary for borrowers to use. I've gotten through the E's. It's a long process, but it's like a 1-minute explainer of all the most common mortgage terms. Having something like that, not just for borrowers, but for loan officers and for realtors also, is a really good idea. I like that.
Good. Put it in there to where it records the questions also, so we can adapt and fix it going forward when somebody, what is it you guys out in California have? It's the two names that's talking about solar on houses.
Oh man, I don't know.
It's Mellow Roos. Is that it?
Oh, okay.
One of those things that's talking about
Yeah.
how you put solar on your house and it increases your property taxes to pay for the solar or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. There are initiatives like that. I don't know what the process is to actually accomplish it or actually get something like that. But
You can do it. You can do it.
yeah, it's at least it's an incentive
Yep.
to get solar on the house. And based on what my electric bill has looked like for the past couple of months, that is more topical than ever right now.
As much as I've been traveling and watching, that's one of the big things that I'm watching right now during the midterms is the two parties battling against each other, talking about the other one, and they're using energy costs.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
all right, sorry I interrupted you.
It's fine. Mortgage tech. Mortgage tech. We all know how loan officers can benefit from mortgage tech because the better the technology, the less often you have to go into Encompass, it seems. That's one of the main driving forces behind a whole lot of loan officer targeted mortgage tech is to let them do their jobs without entering Encompass in any way, shape, or form. We're doing a really good job of that, which is great. But you can't really talk about loan officer tools without talking about borrower tools because they kind of go hand in hand. I want to know what you see being the future of borrower tech. What things should become easier for borrowers to do on their own? What things shouldn't? Obviously, they should have some pricing tools and things like that. Some live market tracking ability, so the people that want to be a little bit more knowledgeable on what rates are doing, so they can click the button or make the phone call and lock their loan at a moment's notice whenever they choose is the best time to lock their loan. Different things like that do exist and have existed, but what type of stuff are you looking forward to that just isn't common right now?
One of the big things that I'm looking forward to from the consumer standpoint are easy to use dashboards. I want sort of like in any of the LOSs that are out there, they're supposed to be easy to use dashboards. You can design it, which they're not. If you have an amazing LQB or Encompass or even that antiquated Calyx system or something like that, you can kind of shuffle things around. But what I'd like to see for a borrower is a true step-by-step. One of the things that we get into is we build tech thinking that the more bells and whistles that we put in there, the more that people will like it. And if you look at the two most popular websites in our country, Google and Zillow are the simplest, nothing there. So what I would like to see is something that's going to tell me as simple as something that I see every day: red, yellow, green. Was I supposed to get my driver's license uploaded 3 days ago? That's red. Am I supposed to get my bank statements in by the end of today? Well, that's yellow. Everything else, that's something that I would like to see. And I truly, and this is, I think, a huge miss for everybody in tech, I truly want to see it to where it truly is mobile friendly.
Sure.
What do I mean by that? If you can't see it on the screen and you have to scroll side to side and back and forth and expand and everything else, then it's not mobile friendly. Agreed. And I think most tech companies are. So what they're doing is,
if there's anything that I need to upload, anything, there's no reason why I shouldn't just be able to take a picture of it with my phone.
Amen. Hell, they've had it forever. Adobe came out with that, a dozen
years ago. Yeah, absolutely. And now, even with the new iOS on the iPhone, they're now doing readable object. They've been doing readable objects for a little while, to where you can pull up a photo, and if there was an address or a street name on a street sign, in a photo, you could actually long press and copy that name.
Yep.
They've now advanced that to not just readable photos, but what they're calling readable objects. You can do that in a video now. You can just hit pause on a video and copy text that happens to appear on screen on somebody's T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, the processing power that we have in here.
They bought the T-shirt.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what you can do.
They've had that for a long time. And what's funny, and I don't agree with it, but that same technology is what was used in so many pieces of social media, where it was the photo and video recognition. To where you and I both know, whenever you took a picture, we did a selfie, and posted it on one of the systems. It would say, "Do you want to tag yourself in this?" And it already had your name and knew who you were. They made them take that down, which is a shame. But the technology's still there; they're still using it.
And on the opposite side of things, for anybody who's ever been demonetized on YouTube, because there was a 12-second clip of a song in the background that was playing in a car while you were walking down the street, same type of technology to recognize that song and that you don't have the rights to it.
I think I told you this before. I was doing one of the coaching groups that I do. We had like 2,100 women that do makeup, and we were coaching them. And we would always do it Facebook Live. And that's, answer questions, things like that, help out with it. In the background, I had Bruno Mars playing, just the music that I was listening to at the time. Man, within seconds, my whole computer system was shut down.
Absolutely. So from the borrower side of tech, I'm going to dispute. I have different beliefs. I don't believe in the traffic light.
We're two different generations. I want to hear it.
Yep. I don't like green, yellow, red, yellow, green. I don't like red. I hate it because getting a mortgage is stressful enough.
Yep.
There's enough stress just organically in the mortgage and home purchase process that we don't need to put red beacons in front of people to get their heart rate up any more than it already is. I like the future of gamification in this process. I don't want to tell somebody that they're late doing something. I want to let them know how much time they're going to save by doing it now.
Yep.
And that's how I think I would like to approach the borrower side technology is, hey, it's what did they call it? It was the first 24, I believe, that Matt and John, our presidents of retail, John D'Onofrio and Matthew Schultz, they built a training program and an ops kind of mentality with the help of one of our branches that historically just closes loans faster than any other branch in the company by leaps and bounds. It's unbelievable. Like average time to close right now is hovering around 40 or 50 days. Now it's a long time, and there's a lot of reasons for that because a lot of people get pre-approved before they have a property picked out, and processes take longer so they can house hunt.
Yeah, I think I heard that construction was inside of that. And
yeah. And this one branch historically closes loans in like 16 days.
Yeah.
That's just what they do.
And that they were like 14 days faster than what the average
industry average. Yeah. And their key to that success, they called the first 24. And it's a mentality and a strategy that has them within the first 24 hours of making contact with someone who's looking for a mortgage. They have a very difficult conversation with them. And they say, listen, like getting a mortgage isn't the easiest thing in the world because the federal government says it can't be. There's a lot of stuff you're going to have to provide to us. There's a lot of papers you're going to have to sign. But every single time I ask you for something, I need it from you within 24 hours, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And depending on the level of volume or how many people they have coming to them for loans and things like that, there might be situations where they look at somebody and say, listen, if that's too quick for you, if that's a little bit too much pressure, if you want to take your time with this, that's fine. Let me refer you to one of my buddies because they can work on your timetable more effectively. But I need to, this is how we run things.
That's the old Bill Sparkman setup.
And
the coach, he would say that.
Front loading that process is invaluable. And properly preparing a borrower is the most important thing you can do, because if you have all those documents from a borrower within the first 24 hours, then you can properly structure a deal. You can properly qualify them for a loan. You can properly quote them and lock an interest rate for them. You can actually do all of these things that we're supposed to be doing early and often on every transaction. And if it's done with the correct documentation right away, then the loan has no choice but to fly through the system with no changes. And I feel like a lot of originators get caught up in having an early uncomfortable conversation with a borrower. It doesn't sound like a fun thing to do. People are going to avoid doing that. But if you can do it, it's absolutely going to help. And if we can leverage technology to further help the borrower, not just get us the things that we need to get from them in order to properly execute on their mortgage transaction, but all along the way, let them know that, hey, this is important that you do it right now, because if you do, you're going to save 8 hours over your typical time to close. Just take a picture, upload it, get it done. And those are the things that we're going to be doing through our borrower portal. And that way a borrower can move at the pace that they prefer to move at. And I don't know about you, but I've never heard of anybody who had just closed on a mortgage or closed on the purchase of a home and said, you know what, the mortgage process was just too damn fast for me. I've never heard it.
No, well, I did, and it was a long time ago. In a world far away, back in time, when things were way too easy. I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not married to red, yellow, green.
Yeah.
But I do think that people need to know what it is. What you were talking about, what you were referring to is I want to say old technology. I heard Bill Sparkman talk about that almost 3 years ago. And what he would do, what he would explain to people, same thing, the 24-hour, but the way he would say it is, do you want a fast mortgage or do you want a slow mortgage?
Yeah, there you go.
If you want a fast mortgage, then I need these things in this time period, and we can get to the closing table in 14 days. If you want a slow mortgage, each time that you wait, if you get me your bank statements in 48 hours, you've extended it by a day and a half. If you get me your, whatever it may be in that time period. So, yeah, that's been around for a while. I think that's a training thing. But the biggest thing about it, where I see that that's not going to be a possibility, I don't think it'll work.
Yeah.
Is it will work for extremely detailed borrowers, such as my wife.
Yeah.
It will not work no matter what kind of gamification you put into it for a first-time home buyer.
And
go ahead.
Okay. Fair enough. We can agree. We can agree to disagree with that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of first-time home buyers are more savvy than a lot of people give them credit for. I feel like, especially in today's day and age, and the first-time home buyer of tomorrow that we're thinking about 2-3 years down the road, first-time home buyers are accustomed with growing up with all the information at their fingertips now, and they're educating themselves more than they used to.
Oh, I agree with that.
And totally. I feel like your typical first-time home buyer in 2022 comes to the table with a lot more knowledge than a first-time home buyer back in 2012.
I will agree with that to an extent. But when you start using the acronyms that we use, when you start using the terminology that we use, and we tend
That's just when you go to my YouTube channel and take a look at the glossary.
Oh, so I've got to click somewhere else to go figure out how to do this? You just proved my point. So, yeah, I think it will. But in the gamification, if you're making this to where it is written on a third grade level, to where everybody can understand it, the answer is yes, that it will help. If you're doing this to where you're targeting for the generation that grew up on those games, it will not. It will work for a certain group. It will not work for a majority.
100%. And that's what I love about all this, because nothing works for everyone.
Right.
So you
have what we have now doesn't work for anybody. So any improvements we do will be a great thing.
What we have now at AFN is work, actually. Technically, Thursday it's working.
No.
It all goes live on Thursday.
I'm talking about in general. When you
Gotcha.
buy a software out of the box,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
throw
yeah,
it on
yeah.
a cloud that you have no
The
idea
stack.
where it is, that's what I'm referring to.
The dreaded stack. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's a lot of people think they're taking the easy way by buying the prepackaged software, don't they? A lot of companies really think that that's the fastest way to an effective solution.
And the next thing that happens is they listen to the soft. If you want to know anybody out there that's going to tell you a great fib, call a software salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
They will tell you a fib like there's never been before. Does your system work with Encompass? Well, hell yeah, it does. Because you talk to let's say a Salesforce rep, it ties in with you name it, it ties in with it. And one of the biggest problems, and this is where I think that not only you personally are different,
mm-hmm.
but the people that you and I work with on a daily basis where there's a difference is, and I've said this before on this podcast before, most mortgage companies look at the IT department, which is truly more of a hardware and a little bit of software department.
Yeah.
And they say, find us the best solution for blah, blah, blah. And most of the people in that IT department have never bought a house. They have no idea what it is, but they call up the rep at this software system, or they saw it somewhere and they install it, and they've done their job theoretically, but they just have no idea if it works or not.
You don't want the person, and not to disparage anybody, but the person whose specialty is installing computers and monitors into the cubicles at the corporate office is not the person that you typically want doing software research. It's a different skill set.
Yep.
Same department, different skill set.
And I think it's improving in our industry where you're getting away from the 70-year-old CEO that is still using an AOL email address.
Yeah.
And now you've got more of a or not necessarily more, but the millennial CEO, the millennial COO moving into those spaces, giving direction, because everything that we do every day was designed not only for, but by. And when we use the gamification systems, how much simpler can Google be? Is there any way you can make it?
No.
I can get on my Siri and use Google. It is the simplest system.
It is. It really is. And when I look at like gamification grails and the systems that I look at and look up to and think to myself, why can't getting a mortgage feel like this? The conversation almost begins and ends with TurboTax for me.
Good point. That's a great one.
You're doing your income taxes is something that was once heralded as something that needed a professional for you to have any chance of getting them accurate. And if you didn't use a professional, boy, oh boy, get ready.
Yep.
Because it's going to be a whole lot of and then all of a sudden, TurboTax comes along, and was it perfect out of the box? No. Is it perfect now?
Nope.
It's pretty darn close. It's gotten so darn good, and they've also realized the benefit of the human touch. So TurboTax has now incorporated their live assistance features and things like, and that's something I never want to forget. No matter what I'm trying to develop and design for a borrower to use, I always want there to be that panic button, so to speak. I always want there to be an out for them to say, you know what, this system's cool. Yep. It's gotten me this far, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. Yep. I want somebody else to take over for me, get me to a mortgage professional. It should be no more than one click. No more than one click to get the support that they need at whatever time of day that they need it. And that's what TurboTax is doing now too. But for the most part, regardless of what your tax situations are, if you're not a business owner, which I'm not, so I can speak to this side of things, until I start my own business, I feel like TurboTax has me covered, and it's just going to be an elementarily simple task for me to file my income taxes every year. It just works you through one step at a time.
Yep.
It doesn't even let you miss anything because you can't move on until the required steps are done. And by the time it has the information that it needs, all the copying and pasting of that information 87 different times on all those different forms is done in about 15 seconds. And you're out the other end with your tax return or however much you owe or whatever it is, and it's handled. And I'm just looking for any way possible to TurboTax a mortgage.
I think that's a
Because I think
beautiful
that
correlation.
there's a good number of home buyers, possible home refinancers who are ready for something like that. And it's a much smaller percentage than the people who aren't ready for that.
Yep. I
And
can
that's
buy in
fine.
on that. I can buy in on that without any question in my mind because, and when you're saying that, here's what I'm thinking. So probably, and I don't know exactly what the number is, but I'm going to say
Mm-hmm.
70+%, maybe it's even as high as 80% of the world are wage earners with what
Sure.
truly is simple, easy taxes.
Absolutely.
Nothing is simple and easy with the IRS, but simple, easy taxes. If you're a wage earner, you have a house, you have sales tax, you have property tax. That's a great system. Yep. No ifs, ands, or buts. It keeps you legal. It keeps you safe inside of that system. But those same people, that same group of people, if there was a TurboTax for mortgages, those same people fit the same thing. They're wage earners.
Sure.
They have the same address. They have the same information.
It's the equivalent of your 660 to 680 FICO conventional borrower with 10% down, or like it's just your kind of.
But what you just said, it goes for everybody. That
national
goes
averages
for the 3.5% down FHA.
Sure.
That goes for the 100% VA. That goes for the 100% USDA. If it's explaining and telling people up front that the property you're looking at resides inside of USDA territories, which is an easy system to figure out, and it qualifies for 100%. Yep. Here's the guidelines, and if you put in that information and you qualify, I am so. When we talk about it that way, I am much more in line.
That's where I'm at on that, and it's not something where I feel like we're trying to sidestep or get rid of the mortgage professional. There's always going to be a use for a loan officer. There's always they're necessary for these transactions to come about. But I do see, as technology progresses, as different companies dabble with different solutions, sooner or later, hopefully it's us, but sooner or later, somebody's going to figure out how to TurboTax mortgage.
Yep.
That's the way that it's going, and it's going to be figured out. And once that happens, all of a sudden, your CPAs are going to look a lot like your mortgage professionals, because when you don't have something that's quite so standard, that's when you need the professional help. That's when you need somebody to maybe do it for you or walk you along every step of the way, offer a little bit more guidance and help you out with the more complicated tax situations and things like that. In the world of mortgage, that might look like non-conforming jumbo and non-QM loans, bank statement loans, renovation loans, the things that are less standardized and a little more nuanced and things like that. That's always why I'm recommending to loan officers just to keep up on their fringe products. Like, don't always concentrate on the meat and potatoes. Take a look at your niche products, your jumbos, your non-QMs. That, like, in tough markets like this, those are the products that even less loan officers are familiar with, and they kind of shy away from them because they have a reputation for being a bit more difficult to do. And that's a really good source of income for a lot of loan officers. It's a good source of business. It can find you some solid footing in a tumultuous market like we are in right now.
It also helps you with, if you're I'm going to say a DIY borrower. It will help you with that, as well as, and I'm going to throw this out there. For me, going to a loan officer should be somewhat, I don't want to say of a luxury, but kind of on those lines. And here's the reason why I say it. I am more than able and physically able to mow my own yard.
Yep.
It is a complete waste of my time after working 60 hours during the week to go spend 8 hours. Because the other thing is, for me, I'm a perfectionist. So when I mow my yard, if I mow it this way and there's grass standing up, well, then I'm going to mow it this way, and then I'm going to mow it this way, and then I'm going to go to Home Depot and spend $800 buying a new lawnmower and a blade and everything else that I need. So it's not effective for me. So my mind is so much more at peace letting a professional take care of it. I think and what you're talking about is making it to where anyone can choose and pick. And at that time, I get that panic moment where I've scanned in every page of my bank statement that has any numbers on it, and it's telling me that I haven't done it. And I know that I have pushed that button, and a professional.
Or the system's telling you that this is how much you make, and you know that it's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Because no system's going to be perfect.
Yeah. Nah, great point. I do like that. I do like that a lot. So yeah, I'm with that.
You just said something that I want to segue with. You said it's not worth your time.
Yep.
And that I want to circle back to what you mentioned earlier with all the bots that we're building to complete the nominal tasks and automate that stuff. And when you're in a room with a couple of hundred people and the president of the company is up there talking about how many hundreds of tasks he's going to be able to eliminate by automating them, you and me clap, but there's a couple people in the corners of the room that get wide-eyed because they're thinking, oh, job security.
No, God,
but
no.
That's the thing. So in the follow-up sessions, I know you had some breakout sessions on social media and social media marketing. I moderated our executive panels. And in one of our executive panel sessions, somebody was really leaning into the bots as a branch manager, producing branch manager, somebody who brings in business themselves. And he basically says he had joined the company 2 weeks prior to the conference. So he says, I'm 2 weeks old here at AFN, and I hear about these bots. And the first thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, like, am I going to have to fire my processor and my dock drawer because their jobs are going to be automated, things like that. And he says, but then I keep thinking about how many times they and myself sit around thinking, why do I have to wait for Encompass for so long just so I can click this one damn button and move on with my day? You know what I mean? Things like that. And he was like, but now that's going to be something that a bot does for me. I don't have to wait around for that. And he said, you know what, as I'm speaking, I kind of just came to the realization that what you guys are doing is freeing us up to do what we're good at. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Don't be
helping humans.
Don't be afraid of the bots.
Helping them.
They are the automating tasks and things are not. This is not something that has an end game of eliminating a part of the workforce. This is something that we want to do nothing other than make our existing workforce more effective and allow them to be less frustrated and to get out there and do what they're already good at doing. Nobody is good at waiting around to click a button. It's frustrating, and anybody can do it. So we may as well have a computer program do it. So our people can get out and be people.
Can I have 2 minutes to get off?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You just mentioned something that really brought joy to my heart and tears to my eyes at the same time. So you were running the executive panel, which was next door to me.
Yep.
I was doing breakouts on social media, how to use it, how to gain business off of it. And the classes were beyond attended. It was somewhat the spark of the conference.
Mm-hmm.
After my last one, I walked out, and we stayed over at least 20, 30 minutes in every single one to answer questions and all of that. I walk out, and there is Tony Casillas and John Gwynn standing talking to each other. Tony,
and for those who don't know, Tony's our national business coach. John's our COO.
Good point. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so Tony says Tony is doing nothing but just making me feel very appreciated, very, very wanted. He cannot stop just giving me compliments. And it was, when somebody like Tony Casillas does that, it's like, holy shit. Then listen to this. This is the one that got me. And this is where, if you want to make a 54-year-old ex-MMA fighter get nervous, John Gwynn looks at me and says, he was trying to figure out why.
John Gwynn, just a side note, not 6'4".
No, he's not. No. But he says he's trying to figure out why people are coming in late to the executive sessions. When they get in there, he says all they're talking about is the breakout that they took next door, blah, blah, blah. And it's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I'm fixing to get clobbered. I'm going to get nailed. I'm keeping people from, his session and all that. And he looks at me, and I don't remember exactly the words, but for my vocabulary, it was like, I fucking love it.
Absolutely.
And he was so happy that this was going on. Any other place in the world, you're taking away from the executive panel, blah, 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 blah.
All right, so here's the difference, right? I'll explain to you the cut and dry difference. Our executive panel, we did not run as a pre-scripted and rehearsed panel. I did not write a bunch of softball questions and then deliver them to the panel so they could.
You'll never make it in government.
To give the sound good answers. And no, I will never make it in government by design. I ran that executive panel as interactive because everybody wanted it that way. I started with one or two questions of my own. The first question of which, because I felt like it was a very important answer for everyone in the company to hear. My lead question to the panel, John Sherman, the president specifically, was, mortgage business is not in a great place right now. You see all the headlines, everything's doom and gloom. What happens to AFN if this lasts for 3, 6, 9 more months? What happens if the industry compression that we see now lasts through the end of 2023? How are we financially? Are all these people in the right place? So we weren't exactly pulling any punches.
That's a hardball.
But at the same time, the answer is very confident and collected because we're good. And one of the main reasons that we're good is because American Financial Network is not on the side of a baseball stadium. We do not have a company jet or a yacht or limos to take care of whoever. Like many mortgage companies over the last couple of years, we've done very well when volume was high, and we were very good with the money and did the right things with it. So capital isn't an issue. Also, American Financial Network, thank the Lord. And this was a huge point that Matt Schultz and John D'Onofrio made. It was one of the main reasons they actually came here when they did come over years ago. We're not a publicly owned or highly capitalized company. We're a privately funded company. Yep. Started by the Shermans, run by the Shermans. We are privately owned and funded. There is no big bad board of directors and investors that we need to report to. There is no hedge fund and capital debt that we need to be paying back, no matter what, at 10% interest or whatever it is, regardless of how the financials look right now. They just need their money back, and that doesn't exist at AFN, which is why one of the things that you told me you loved from the general session, which is why we've been able to not downsize at all in our IT department.
We expanded it.
Yes.
We expanded it. One of the things that I want to
we're able to invest in those areas.
And then I've got to jump.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to hit on that you just said, if anybody out there actually believes that silent partners are truly silent, let me give you a wake-up call.
They're not. They're just not on those calls, Johnny.
There is no silence. If it's your money, you have the ability to have silence as long as you believe in what it is that you're doing. And I've never seen anybody believe in what they're doing more than this company, more than what I watched. I was just blown away. I'm telling you, yep. I have sat with multi freaking millionaires that did not have the couth, did not have the ability to understand what it was that they were sitting in. You know what? And here's the thing. I got to leave you with this one. When I heard the fact that we are building for the next mortgage cycle,
Yep.
and we are building for the next generation of loan officers, that right there should resonate with everybody. No matter if you understand what it says or not, that should resonate with everybody at that moment in time on what and who and where you should be.
Absolutely. And to wrap up what I was trying to say, that I did a terrible job of getting to, was with an interactive executive panel, everybody in the room has a chance to ask whatever question they want to the executive leaders of the company.
Yep.
In any company you've ever been a part of, who would pass up that chance?
Too many people.
But still a lot of people who would want to take advantage of that chance.
Yeah.
And when we found out that people were passing up that chance so they could stay a little late in your social media sessions, so they could figure out how to expand their business, our executives understand that that's not a slight on them. It's just confirmation that we have a bunch of the right people in the right place who are looking to do the right things.
Yeah. It was, I'm telling you, at one point, and Gwen is probably about this big.
Yeah.
But I was nervous for a few seconds until I saw that smile, and he I don't remember if he gave me a hug, if he shook my hand, something, but there was something there that let me
probably
know
a hug.
That it was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I got nothing else. That's the end. If anybody is listening out there and they want to know more about the tech that we just rolled out and the benefits of it, contact us. You're Jay Fowler at afncorp.com. I am M. Ferrasi at afncorp.com. Let me take the banner down. That's how to spell our names. Jay Fowler at afncorp.com and M. Ferrasi at afncorp.com. If anybody wants to know anything more about the company or what we are rolling out from a tech perspective, or if you just have any questions about anything that maybe you think could help you grow your business or do a little bit better in the industry, let us know. We're open sharers and we love to do it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Johnny. We'll talk to everybody later. Thanks for tuning in to the Fly the Flag Mortgage Show.